Alright, today I'm going to give you a review on boots, but mainly I'm going to ramble on about a bunch of boots to give you some ideas about what makes a good boot. But really, in the end, I'm going to give you my 3 favorite boots. So stay tuned, we'll get to that immediately. But, you know, there's some things to look out for, some not to use, some to use, and like I'm going to say 1,000 times, never wear tennis shoes. Let's take a look at those boots again. Today we're going to talk boots. Yes, we're going to talk boots. I've had lots and lots of boots, and I'm really going to concentrate on adventure boots, but I also want to talk a little bit about cruising or just, you know, the commute boot, something you're going to wear, you're just going to throw on your feet and go to work or just take a ride around town. And so today it's boots. Let's get to it. Here's a selection of boots. Nope, that's a motorcycle. There we go. Boots, 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 and more boots. Where do they stop? Nobody knows. But some of these don't really belong, like those. If you're wearing tennis shoes, my friends, tennis shoes, no boots. Don't wear tennis shoes. And I'll give you some examples of some other things I don't think you should wear. One of them would be right down here, and those are like cowboy boots. I see people with cowboy boots all the time. I'll tell you there's a couple ideas why that's a bad idea, and we'll get right to it now. All right, since we're here to cover boots, I want to make this kind of quick and easy for you. Although I got lots of boots here, I actually have more than this that I've tried. But I'm going to go to a couple of things. One, we're going to knock out tennis shoes. Don't wear tennis shoes when you're riding. You could break your feet, you put your foot down, they can slip because the material's just not made for the grease and stuff that's going to be on the road. But really when something, you know, comes up from the road and hits your foot, you could damage your foot. If your foot is down and hits something, you could break it. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Don't wear tennis shoes. Good. Let's go on to, okay, everyday riding boot. I'm going to go over 2. And 2 of my favorites. We're going to go here and here. All right, these are really, really old. And I believe they're called River Road. I will check. And I'll put that in if that's incorrect, but I believe that is. You can see there's a little emblem here. It's so long ago that I bought these boots, I almost don't remember what they are. They have like a cruiser bike on this little buckle thing. They buckle up here. This buckle really doesn't do much. A lot of people just cut them off, but it's kind of a decorative thing. They are so comfortable. They got a Vibram sole, and if you look at that Vibram sole, I bought these in like 2007. Some of you might not even have been born then. And they still are in amazing shape. So they're full grain leather. They are not waterproof, but they are somewhat water resistant, so they don't really fill up with water. And you can waterproof them if you wanted to, but they're pretty short boot. They're real comfortable to walk around in, so when you get somewhere, you could wear these all day long. They might look a little tough with this on there. That's why I think some people cut it off so they can wear it to work. Kind of my favorite, this is my favorite cruising boot. I'll put a link in the description if they still sell these, or at least I'll give you the correct name for them. Favorite cruising boot, and maybe just go to work boot. Second favorite boot, and these have replaced those for me. And these I bought, they're TCX. They have a heel protection on it on both sides for that bone in your ankle. I say heel, huh? Not a heel. In your ankle, that ankle bone protects it there. It has a shift and brake on, so both on your shift lever and on your brake side, it has this little decorative thing on one side. Well, on the shift side, which should be this boot, it's a little extra piece of leather, so it protects your boot and your foot. And they are a little on the stiff side when you first get them, and they're really hard on the bottom. So walking around on them, I found that my back started to hurt. So if you go to Revzilla, that's where I saw, that's like their most recommended boot. And it's a TCX. Let's see if it says what kind in here. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to put a link to all of these in the bottom. So look down in the description, and I'll have a link to all these boots so you know which one's which. Some of these I'm more familiar with, but I wear these almost every day to work now, and after about 6 months of wearing them, they're a lot more comfortable. Like I said, at first, it's sort of like there's not a lot of cushion in the bottom, and so a lot of people put insoles in them. That would probably really help. Maybe buy them one size up or half a size up, and then put like one of those Dr. Scholl's in it. They lace up. They're really comfortable. There's not a hard toe, but it's stiffer, so there's no metal piece in there to protect your foot. But it's enough, and it's enough protection to keep you safe, sort of on that commute. Okay, and they're good looking boots, so they look good wearing to work, and people wouldn't really know that you're wearing a motorcycle boot. That is sort of my second favorite. I like the other ones a little bit better, but these are newer. All right, I think the down and dirty really gets into, I see one other pair of boots over here I gotta mention though. The Cowboy Boots. Now why don't these work? Because they have a steel toe. You can get them with more protection. You can get the right sole on them. You can get a steel shank in them. So that all seems to be good. The part is they don't strap to your feet. So there's no laces and there's no straps. So if you were to fall off, these boots would go flying. That's number one. So safety, they're really not safe to wear cowboy boots when you're riding because they would fall off if you got in an accident. The second part is the wind tends to blow up on your pants, and your pants leg gets up onto here, and then stuff starts to go inside your boots. It doesn't happen with these because they end up being wider and a little bit taller. But the main point is they don't strap on, so I wouldn't wear these motorcycle riding at all. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Let's go to my favorite boot of all time, and that is the Alpine Star Tucson. It's a Gore-Tex boot. It has a great sole, and if you look at these, they are so messed up. I'll tell you why these are this messed up. It's because I wore them on my motocross bike, kind of by accident. I grabbed these boots instead of my motocross boots, and I thought, well, I'll just go for it. And I sharpened my pegs on my motocross bike, and so they really tear up my boots. But what I will tell you is that at the end of the day, riding with these, they're so comfortable, you don't want to take them off. Your feet aren't sweating because of the Gore-Tex, and I don't know how it works because you still have a plastic outer shell and a leather shell on the outside, but it does vent air out of this boot, and it keeps your feet dry. They're waterproof, and they've got all the right protection, you know, for the bone in your ankle, not shin, whatever, your ankle. It's got shin protection, and then it has enough flex in the boot, and it's a 2-strap boot rather than a 3-strap boot like a motocross boot, and that is one of the downfalls. You don't want to use it as a motocross boot. It's not as stiff, but it has all the right protection for your adventure gear. So it's Alpine Stars Tucson. Absolutely, I recommend this boot over any other boot that I've ever worn for adventure riding. There will be one complaint you'll see online, and that's that they'll squeak. Can you hear that? I don't even notice it, but they tend to squeak, I guess. I haven't really noticed it. I think when I first got them, I noticed it. I have at least 60,000 miles of adventure riding on these boots, and I still wear them. So that's still my go-to. Let's talk about my motocross boots. And those are the City SIDI boots. And I absolutely love these boots. They are as stiff as can be. So you can see what the model is there. Now let's take a look down this side of the boot. This is one of the reasons I love it. All these pieces, the shin protector comes off, you can replace it. The side here for the protection of your back of your calf is replaceable. The one that protects your it's my ankle bone. That is replaceable. The piece behind that is replaceable. On the side, right by the on the inside of your boot, that gets hit by the peg a lot when coming on and off the bike, that is replaceable. The entire sole is replaceable, and it unbolts. So all of that stuff unbolts, and you can bolt new pieces on. It is a very stiff boot. it runs small. You need to buy at least one size higher. I absolutely love these boots. They protect my feet in all conditions, and I just can't say enough about how much I love them. They've built in flex into the boot in all the right spots, but as I'm saying, I mean, they're stiff. You can move your boot this way, but it won't move this way, it won't move that way. It doesn't flex back that far. So really awesome boot. Love those. That's my motocross boot, guys. Let's move on to some other boots that are in these categories. So Alpine Star, the Tech 7s, Tech 8s. I used to wear the Tech 8s. I don't like them anymore. And I'll give you an example. Let's see if I have any here. Yeah, I may have thrown mine out. But let's see. Some of these have the same buckle system, and it may be the buckles. Let's see. Is it this one? Here's a good. It's not a great example. So I really start rambling on here about these buckles, but the idea is that some of the boots will have a buckle and a little clasp that you can grab onto to pull out the buckle. If it has a little loop there, it can get caught in things like manzanita, and we've had that problem where it's actually pulled somebody off the bike. So I look for a really smooth clasp or smooth buckle system on my boots, so you'll know I don't have any that don't have that. So I'm going to cut to the chase. Just if you see something that's sticking out of the boot and it's sticking out of the buckle, you really don't want that. You want it to be as smooth as possible, so if you brush up against something, it doesn't grab onto it. Let's get it. So these are O'Neill's, and this is an inexpensive option. They're comfortable, they're quiet. You can wear these things all day. They're not that heavy. They're pretty stiff. It's a molded piece on the bottom. It has a good piece for the toe. There's no metal on the front. That's another point. You won't see any metal on the front of these boots at all. Totally against having a metal piece here. A lot of times they'll do it because, and I'm going to show you this other boot. Let's go back here. So if you look at this, this is the Tucson, and you can see there's layers right in here. And a lot of times they'll put a piece of metal right here and they nail it together so those layers won't come apart. The problem with those pieces of metal is that they'll bend out and catch on things. You might kick your bike, you might hit something else, you can cut yourself with it. I mean, I've had pieces just sticking straight out and noticed, then they got a pair of pliers and ripped them off. And having that metal piece on the end of your boot when you go to slide your foot over the seat, it's quite likely you'll cut your seat, and that can get expensive. So a rubber end on the boot with its O'Neill is really nice. They're inexpensive, and if you are growing and your foot's still growing, you don't want to have to spend, you know, $600 for a pair of boots for about, less than 200 bucks. I think you can get a pair of these, and when you grow out of them, maybe you can hand them to somebody else. So that's a good alternative for an inexpensive boot. It has all the right protection. Has 4 straps, so it makes it a bit stiff. You could use this in an adventure boot, but it'd be a little bit stiff. It's more of a motocross boot. I do ramble on quite a bit about these boots, but so you've got the O'Neill's, you've got the Fox racing boots, and there's a couple of others out there that I think they may all be made by the same manufacturer. I've got O'Neill's here, I've got Fox's here, and then I've got a set of TRX or something. And they all kind of look very similar in there. An inexpensive boot. They're molded, like the whole bottom piece is molded as one piece. And then they have like a leather upper sole with plastic pieces on the front or the back. And I kind of described that here. All of those boots I'd put in the lower class of a boot. There's no replaceable parts, but they're inexpensive and they protect pretty well. And they're pretty darn comfortable. So I'm going to kind of skip on past that stuff for you guys. Really the most important thing here is trying to find out what is the best boot, and I've gone through quite a few. I start talking about the Tech 8s, Tech 7s, that's Alpine Stars boots, and a lot of guys are using those as their adventure boots. And I kind of went on about those clasps and how I didn't like that. I actually had my Tech 8s fell apart, so the soles came off of them. And they got a lot of use, so they lasted a long time, and until I got those Tucsons, the Tech 8s were my favorite. So I'd kind of go Tech 8s and then Tucsons. The Tucsons are just so far above that, it's unbelievable. If you have a chance to try a set, I highly recommend it. Cheers, guys, and enjoy the day. We'll get on some other videos here quite shortly. Shorts. Yep. Nope. No, we're not going to talk about shorts. But if you can, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. That certainly helps. Make a few comments there if you want to see some other videos. Maybe helmets. I've got a ton of helmets. Wow, lots of. I could probably ramble for hours on helmets. Anyways, we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.